Hey, everybody, welcome back to episode 53 of Mulligans and Hackers podcast. I finally got Chris here as a co-host.
I'm back.
He's been absent forever. Maybe take some time away from volleyball, but that's another story. And today we're here with Chris Hunter from Sucker Pin Society, also known as, to his friends affectionately, as Beard. So now
I
we're
don't know
going to
where
call
they got the name.
it. What's that?
I don't know where they got that name.
Well, that's the one that's going to stick for us two here now, pal. So.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. This is something we've been chatting for a while. We're in that whole Odin sphere. Jordan, friends with him, and I really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Absolutely. By the way, that was an excellent introduction. And when I play in the Masters next year, can you call me up to the first tee?
You got it, pal.
It's been on my radar since I was 6 years old. I'm going to play in the 2025 Masters. Everything's working out. So please do me the honor of calling me to the first tee.
Do you need a caddy?
I do. What I might do is split it up. I plan on making the cut and winning it, but I'm gonna split one caddy on Thursday. New guy, my buddy, my best friend Wheels has got to be on the bag. I've got a whole laundry list. We'll just take the highest bidder.
Yeah. I won't take a high percentage of the earnings, so keep that in mind. I'll be down on. I just need to get there. So if you can get me on the bag Thursday or Friday, probably Thursday, because I might really handicap your game going into it. So if you have a decent round Thursday, you can get another caddy on the bag for Friday, make the cut. So
Yeah.
let's look at Thursday for me.
Yeah,
I won't take a large percentage of the cut. I think normal is like around 10%. You get me in that 2% range.
Yeah,
I got you.
for sure.
Sure. That's my favorite tournament. When we got into golf a few years ago. I don't know what it was, but that was the tournament. That was like I don't watch a lot of pro golf, but I watch the Masters religiously. Like I'll have my phone at work up against my computer with the Thursday round on. You bet it's got to happen.
Oh yeah,
Love that tournament.
The course is stunning, and
have you been
from
there?
No, but from what I've obviously seen on TV and then heard from people that I know that have gone, they're like, you might as well just pinch yourself and say I'm in golfing heaven. And I know a couple people that went this year. One guy actually, he's in a group chat with me, Mr. Brian O'Reilly. He's out of the New England area, and I think he won the lottery this year.
Nice.
And I could have sworn this is maybe his second time winning it. And I'm like, dude,
Seriously.
talk about just being in that small percentage of people that can. You did it once, but you did it. You've now done it twice, and that's just absolutely mind blowing to me. But it's just an absolute gem of a golf course, and the tournaments are always exciting. I know some people were like, "Oh, this year was a little down in the dumps because Scotty kind of ran away from it," but I'm like, I kind of disagree. I mean, you got Ludwig. I always butcher his last name. Oberg, Aberg, who I think is just the next number one in the world. He is legit. I love his swing, the way he goes about his business. He seems kind of unflappable, and he was kind of chasing him down until 11 when he put it in the water. But I was kind of watching him like, let's see how he recovers, because I could see how that would be extremely crushing if it happened at the end of the round when you could say he blew it. But he did it early enough to where I'm like, let's see how he bounces back. Let's see if his routine changes. If he gets a little shaky the rest of the round. But he came back and he made up those two shots that he lost. It's just you're going up against a freight train in Scotty right now, and he's the man to beat. But Ludwig's got a bright future, and I think he's going to be up there with the Rorys and I wouldn't say Tiger yet, but I think he's going to pan out to be like the next Rory or even better.
It wasn't a bad first tournament at Augusta for him, right?
No, usually first-time winners don't win there, or first-time players.
Yeah,
typically.
So yeah,
and that place played tough because that wind was howling out there.
Yep.
So
It's a
what
tough
he
course
did
to
in those
begin.
conditions is pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah, it's a tough course. It's Masters is played there for a reason, and I like the fact about Augusta. And I mean, I might not ever get there, and I definitely know I won't be playing there. But the the course with all the players hitting so long now, uh, uh, being big hitters, and that course will still neutralize you
Yep.
in those aspects. You have to be able to play the game. And then I think that's one of the reasons I really like that course is, you can go out there and hit some bombs, but a lot of that course you have to manage.
And what you don't see on TV it doesn't capture it is the amount of undulations and uphill, downhill lies. It's a hike. It's a severe walk. You can see how Tiger can barely make it through some of the rounds, but that place they've lengthened it because of how far the guys are hitting the ball. They stretched the tee back on 13, 17 is now longer. Number 5 is brutal, even though the only thing that's really a hazard is this one fairway bunker, but the green is kind of shaped like almost like a turtle back. So they've lengthened some of the holes. And if you can control your spin around there, especially if you're hitting wedges into soft greens, the Thursday, Friday, it's always playing a little bit softer, but if you can take advantage of those conditions and control your ball, your proximity to the hole, it's probably why you're looking at Scotty who because I think he leads on tour in proximity to the hole, but from like 150 to 175 yards. And that's pretty much every second shot out there, except for a couple holes. So, yeah, it's pretty impressive what those guys shoot when the course is that undulated, and it's always going to come down to the short game at that place. So we'll see what they have in store for us in the future. If these guys, if all of them get on the Bryson train and start pumping at 400, so
Yeah. So, pal, we got on talking about Masters, which we can go on and talk pretty much for the next hour and a half on that. Let's get into Sucker Pin Society here and Beard himself. So give us a little bit of your history in golf. Where did you start? What age did you start? And give us a little background on your golf coming up through your years, and then we'll go into how this Sucker Pin Society thing started.
Yeah, so I was born in 1983, so I'm going to be 41 here in October. And yeah, and I think I was 6 years old when I was at my grandparents' house. And this is a very similar kind of introduction to what golf is. Who was the last guest you had? The gal with blonde hair?
Was that the last guest, Courtney Campbell?
She's a PGA professional.
Yep. Courtney Campbell.
Yeah, there we go. I listened to that the other night. Very similar story where I think it was her grandfather got her into the game at a young age. And I just remember he was barbecuing in the backyard, and he had some steaks on the grill. He was waiting for the coals to turn white so he could throw the steaks on. And I've actually got a set right in front of me. I've got a set of hickory shafted clubs from Scotland that were my great grandfather's. And I had never seen these things before. I'd never seen them before. And he took one of these out of the bag, and I literally thought these were weapons. Like, is that literally a sword? What is this? And you familiar with those like little orange wiffle balls that you can hit around your backyard? They do no damage. They fly maybe 20 yards with a full swing. Well, he just threw a ball in the backyard on the grass. He just took I think it was a wedge. Could have been the old mashie, whatever these are. And he opened it up and he took this full swing and popped the ball straight up in the sky. And I was just like, what was that? And so I was like, let me play around with these. So I started swinging them, thought I could do the same, swung and missed, whatever. But I was immediately like interested because I had never seen anything like that. And so I remember he gave me some old bladed irons to take home, kind of messed around with them in my room. But I loved the way the grip felt in my hands. And I just found myself just, even though I was into baseball and stuff with my dad at a young age, I was using a baseball grip, and I absolutely loved the feeling of the old leather grip. It was really tacky. Um, my senses were like all over the place, and uh, then shortly after that, the TV was on one day, and there was golf on the weekend, and I'm like, oh, that's the thing that my grandpa was doing in the backyard. And so I just kept swinging, and literally a few years went by before I think my mom noticed, like, man, he is all about these golf clubs. And I had a putter, and I'd putt around in my room, literally not knowing anything about what I'm actually doing. And so my mom, I was in summer school, and we always had, like, not camps, but classes you could sign up for. So now I'm probably like 9 or 10. And one of the things you could do was you could sign up for golf lessons. And there was only like 4 or 5 kids that signed up for this. And it was like 2 days a week. You'd go to the driving range for a couple hours, and there was an instructor there. And I remember going to the driving range, or I'm sorry, school bus dropped you off, or the school van, because there weren't many of us, dropped us off. And I walked in the pro shop and immediately just got hit with this, walking in, I smelled like the fresh cut grass. You go in there, smell like this old mahogany wood. I remember the green carpet, the sounds of like old guys with metal spikes click clacking on the ground, the sound of the golf balls just one after the other at the driving range. And I'm like, what is this place? And just immediately, again, like, just the emotions and senses were like on overload. And I remember the instructor gave us each like a small bucket, and none of us knew what we were doing. And he put the ball, I had a 9 iron. It was an old Wilson 9 iron. And he put that thing on like an inch and a half tall tee. If I'm doing that today, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hit myself in the head. The ball's going to come straight up at me. And I striped the first one I ever hit, and that feeling was like, I'm hooked for life. And that's how it all started. I remember I took the old clubs to school. I was so stoked about these because we had a show and tell, bring something, to school and talk about it, show your friends. And I remember bringing my clubs in, and they're like, what are these things? But my best friend, since we were since kindergarten, who's all over my page. Everybody knows him. He's a beauty. His name's Wheel, or that's his nickname. Real name's Gary. He was front and center in class, and he was like, I gotta play this. And we've been like hooked ever since.
That's cool,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, did you took lessons early? Did you keep that going?
Yeah. So yeah, you did ask that earlier, but I just start going on tangents. Did it for the summer, and then my mom knew I was just like, this is the sport. And I was also doing I always butcher it because I can't roll my R's, but I was doing karate or karate. She had me in kempo, and uh, which I loved too. Ton of discipline, and that really works in golf, or prepares you for golf. And I was good at baseball. Those are my three things: golf, karate, and baseball. But I think I was the most natural at golf, and so she was taking me to the driving range probably 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
Nice.
And I didn't play a course until I was probably like 11 or 12. But the 9-hole course I grew up at is Prune Ridge Golf Club, which I later worked at during high school. And I would be there all the time. And it was a great place. Like, my mom trusted all the regulars. You know, you mingle with some of the older folks there, and they kind of start babysitting you. And you're like, oh yeah, you gotta go run off to work for a couple hours, leave the kid here. We'll go hit some putts, whatever. So, and they all reminded me of my grandfather. So I instantly felt a connection with them. And so I was a range rat, and I'd play maybe once a week once I turned like 11 or 12. And Wheels joined shortly after that. And it was like literally every summer we couldn't wait because it's like school's out. We've got 2.5 months of golf every day. And my mom would give me $20. Wheels' parents would give him $20. And back then, golf was so cheap, especially for juniors, that you could play. It was a 9-hole course. You could play it twice, plus a medium bucket of balls and a turkey sandwich, and that's all it cost. It's just crazy how nuts golf has gotten when it comes to green fees. But that led us into junior golf, getting pretty good, and played a ton of junior golf tournaments throughout Northern California. And then that eventually led into high school golf. And then did that. Wasn't the greatest at it, but started working at the golf course during high school. And they were trying to kind of groom me to do teaching out there if I wanted to after high school. And I thought about it, and I was like, we'll see how it goes. But eventually that leads into, let's get you certified to be a club fitter. So I'd go to demo days, got certified with Titleist and Ping back then, Callaway. Those were the hot ones. And learned how to build club, do the regripping, reshafting, even messed around with some old persimmon woods, so like refinishing them, doing the whipping around the shaft and the club head. And yeah, I've just been an absolute golf addict nut forever. And I played some NCGA stuff, but realized quickly, like, I don't have the funds for this, to be traveling every week and paying all these green fees. Got some help from family, got my ass completely handed to me. And so I'm like, I don't think this is for me. And so I just want to be a weekend warrior with my friends and just see where this journey takes us.
Yeah, so that's we're I mean, I'm 50. Chris is a little younger than I am, and we're just this year, actually coming up not too long, is going to be our first amateur event. We're playing on an amateur tour here in Alberta, and in a few weeks, June the 1st,
Yeah.
we have our first amateur event. And
Right on.
I can't tell you how like stoked we are for that, because again, for us now, just again relatively new into the golf world, the experiences, just getting experiences. Because I mean, I have no history in this game, like literally none, but there's so much in the game that you can experience. And for us, like doing an amateur tour, like who would have ever, again, 20 years ago, I mean, golf wasn't even on the radar. And here we are at my age, I'm going to go and do, I'm only like 5 years away from the senior tour, just so you know. So,
Well, we didn't start young like you did, and you know, get up through the lessons and doing different things. Like, I mean, I picked up a golf club maybe once or twice a year, every once in a while at our local club, when we would have like wind-ups for other sports that we were doing. We'd go out and we just whack the ball around and pretend like we knew what we were doing. And, you know, I had a couple buddies who were really good, but I'm like, yeah, golf's not really my thing. And then as I, you know, as we've gotten older, it's kind of become one of those things.
One of the things that got us into this is like our families are getting up and getting on, and you know, what do you do with yourself for the rest of your days, right? Like what, I mean, we talked about it before, like hockey, which we'll get into in a little bit, I'm sure, because you had questions about that. But
yeah,
like I don't do contact sports anymore. I don't coach hockey anymore, you know, and you're at this point where your kids are all getting up and going out of the house, and you know, it's just you and your wife, and there's a lot of time on your hands. And what do you do with it? Right? What do you do with that time? I mean, that can really get into your kitchen and start, you know, cooking lunch, right? So this is where golf came for us, and I approached Chris with the idea of doing, again, something outside of my comfort zone, like as a podcast, and here we are. But we have a tour for our pals too that we do, the Mulligans and Hackers Tour, and that's us competing against us and our friends, and for FedEx Cup style points type thing, right? We do that throughout the summer. We've done that for the past 3 years. That in itself, like when it comes to friendly competitive competition, we're competitive. I mean, we grew up in sports. That competitiveness will never ever go away. You need to compete at something, whether it's checkers, chess. I mean, you got to do something.
Right.
So there's got to be some kind of stakes when you're playing.
So when
right?
me and Chris first played our first few rounds together, our scores were kind of like right around where the same. We weren't 10, 12 strokes difference. It was all in the 4 or 5 strokes difference. It's like, well, if we got some of our buddies, if we did like our own tour, we could compete against each other. No handicap, just go out and play, right? So over the years, we've seen, we'll say, like out of our crew, there's 3 of us that took golf and went, okay, well, we're putting the time and effort in to get better at this. Now, Chris, granted, I'll give him, he puts a lot more time in it than I do, but I still have my range sessions. And again, things to work on. You go to the course, like just spend half an hour on the putting green. Putting has always been an issue with mine, but so far, fingers crossed, knock on wood, my putting so far this year has been on point.
Very good.
So I'm good off the tee. My nickname is Fairway Finder, and now my putting's come around. So
Yeah.
when our tour starts this year, I'm coming for you, pal. I'm coming for you.
Well,
Isn't
you better be ready to go.
Isn't it exciting though when things just start to click? Like you put in the work and you start to see the benefits from it, and then it's like, I don't know, it's almost like you get this adrenaline rush where it's like, I've got to compete, and I want to spend the time practicing, and it motivates you, and you start feeling better, even at like other things like going to work. Like golf is like, I'll have a great round on I'll say a Sunday, and typically the Sunday scaries creep in or whatever, but then it's like I take that with me to my job, and it's like I attack my job like that, and it's like it's just it's so weird how much golf relates to everything else in life if you really think about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like you said, like you're kind of late into it. I think it eventually finds everybody. Like as you get older and you start having to network at work, or golf is like the thing where you go later on in life, and it's like that next chapter begins where it's like, okay, maybe I'm done with the extracurricular stuff like when I was younger, but now it's like I'm almost on a spiritual journey, and the people you meet, and oh, go ahead. I thought you pointing.
So the game itself, though, Beard, I'm going to use the nickname. The game itself, though, even at like, we'll say I started the game at 47, right? I can still play this game, and I can still get better at this game, even
Right.
at 50. That to me is in itself is exciting when it comes to being involved in the game. It's like
Well, there's no one size fits all, right?
Right,
Like
so-
everybody can
Like,
get through the game differently.
when we started playing, 3 years ago, like we got our first memberships, and it's like, okay, we're going to do this. In that first year we played 80. I played like 89 rounds in that first year.
Yeah, I played,
Right?
Holy
I
smoke!
played, I played like
That's
120 or
golf.
something.
Right. So in these last 3 years, I've played close to 300 rounds. It's 100 rounds a year. Like, and we only get a 6-month summer period of playing golf.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Was like, don't you guys have like just
Yeah, man.
wicked winners?
Dude, we live
at
at
the
the
golf
golf
course.
course. Even when I tore my Achilles 2 years ago, I still played over 100 rounds. Like
Phew.
I missed 2 months of the season.
If you check our reels back
You
in,
guys are animals.
on our socials, if you check you can see the first day he came back and he had the boot on and he was on the driving range. It's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The golf was not great for the first little while because I had a boot on and I had to work on things. But I got tired of sitting in the cart, because I go with the boys sometimes when we do our tournament rounds and whatever. And I was the defending champion, and here I am sitting in a boot and can't play, and I'm just watching people accumulate points, and I'm like, great. Well, you don't even get to defend my title. But we play so much golf. Like this weekend coming up is the long weekend, right? We got a tee time tomorrow for 9. We have a tee time for Friday for 9. We have 18 on Saturday, 18 on Sunday, and 18 on Monday, and we're gonna play every day.
How much would it cost me to move to Canada?
I don't.
Just
I don't
curious.
know that I recommend moving to Canada these days. To
Yeah,
be honest
no.
with you.
Yeah, we're not.
Oh, really?
We're not gonna get
We're not
into
going to get
that,
into
though.
that aspect.
Yeah, I feel
right
the
now.
same way about California sometimes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, like we embrace the game, because it's something. Like I said, you put the time in, you get better at this game. So when we started 3 years ago, we started this executive course here. It was a par 66, only on one par 5. It wasn't an overly long course, 4,700 yards or something
But
from
very strategic.
from the tips.
Mm.
And it was a good course for us to get going on,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Now this year we've moved courses. We went from that course to Medicine Hat Golf and Country Club, which is a par 72,
and Connaught, which is a par
and
73.
Connaught, which is par 73.
Yeah, and they're the two premier courses or two of the top premier or three premier courses in the city, right?
And when we first started, we would play Medicine Hat, and that course was fucking intimidating.
The goal was like if we can break 100,
especially for me, right? Like if the first hole is a par 5 dog leg right around the driving range, I'll talk about this hole until I die.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started playing this course, that hole psyched me out as soon as I was on the tee box. I was like, "There's no way I can get there in 5, let alone par this bitch." But now that, but last year we played, and I don't think I shot over 100.
No, you were like mid low 90s,
Right,
most
so
of the time, yeah.
So that gave me a lot of confidence to say when we talked about like, are we going to go to a big boy course now? Like, are we going to take that next step in golf? Like, we had 3 years of playing down at the par 66. Are we going to make that next step? Because again, this experience is growth, right? And we're like, yeah, man, I think we need to go to Medicine Hat and spend the season there and see what we can do with it.
Well, it's a different game there, right? It's not like Connaught is or Cottonwood is open, but it's very strategic because there's trouble everywhere on the right.
There's
so there's a lot of risk reward there because it's like, yeah, you could drive this hole, but you're also probably going to lose the ball. So you gotta learn to play it, right? Whereas Medicine Hat, which we play more of because we got the dual membership and it's just down the road from us, it's not as open and there's wood like trees. You're not necessarily going to lose your ball, but if you get into the trees, you're punching out, you're adding strokes up. So you got to learn to play a lot tighter dispersion, which plays more into Alvin's game, frankly, because he's a lot better that way. And I'm a little bit longer and a little bit more erratic with certain clubs. Although this year, if my driver holds the way it's been playing the last week and a half, it's going to be a hell of a good season. But
we'll see if that holds up.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, it's taught us to play a different way. And then Connaught is also a different animal. We haven't played it yet this year. The last time we played it was for our tour event last year. Alvin was this close to a hole in one. Like he lipped the number 7 or number 8, which is a par 3, and it would have just about got a hole in one on tour. It was amazing. And then the other one, that's the big premier one, the one where we're going for our event, Desert Bloom. So we have reciprocal green fees with them. With our membership at these two, we get a reciprocal green fee. So instead of paying the full, what is it? I think
$115 for a round.
Yeah, 115 or 120 for the weekend round with the cart. We pay 60 or 65. So and that one's more kind of a links style. It's not as linksy as it was because they had new owners and they cut down some of the long grass to make it a little bit more playable for everybody.
Yeah.
But again, those 3 courses give you all kinds of different challenges. So, like Alvin's saying, we're learning different ways to play the game.
So Medicine Hat, like we've played 10 rounds. I've played 10 rounds there.
10 rounds.
Five 18s and 5 9s.
Yep.
And in my 18s, all my 18s are low 90s or high 80s.
Twice.
I broke 80 or broke 90 twice. I've been in the 80s twice.
You're doing that in you've only been playing 3 years?
Yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, there's people that go 10, 15 years and can't break 90.
We put a lot of, again, I'm not going to pat ourselves on the back, and we've never had a lesson. I've never had a lesson.
I couldn't get a lesson to save my life. I grew up cross-handed, so it's not going to help me.
Yeah, he golfs right, left hand low.
Yeah.
So. It's an absolutely, abomination of a golf swing. Now, I will say, back when we first started, my description of Chris's golf swing was called the full body seizure.
It's true.
So
There actually might even be some footage in the backside on our social.
in our reels,
Yeah.
there's some footage of him in the first couple of years, and I mean, literally, it was awful to watch. I mean, it was. I don't know. I can't even describe. I can't even. It was terrible.
It
Terrible.
probably explained why I had a lot of back issues in the early years.
The ability as a left hand low to get the club back into the slot, what he had to do with his body was just contortionist, right? It was just brutal.
Yeah.
But he again, a lot of work. And again, I don't want to pat this guy on the back too much during this fucking podcast, but he's put a lot of work in, and now, man, like, granted, his driver is working now, but it's a little bit of spray and pray off the tee box. But his approach to greens is impressive. I mean, I'll give him that, right? And he is by far of our entire crew best putter. There's a video on our reels, man, of him putting 3 putts. If you look at that one, this is why I call him the putting master, because the shit he can do on the putting green is impressive. Again, for only being in this sport for like 3 years. But again, we played at the par 66, and one of our goals last year was to break 70. Now, I didn't do it. I shot 72 twice.
Great.
I didn't get there. Now, Chris broke 70.
Yeah.
Chris shot 69 twice down there. So
Holy crap.
From their tips.
From the tips.
Yeah.
And in one of our tour events, I played the back nine, which was actually our front today, but I played it 1 under par.
Nice.
So, like, you see that type of development, and, like, I know that game is in there somewhere. Now, I won't tell you what I shot on the next 9 because it's embarrassing. Because when I walked off the ninth green and
the 18th.
the 18th, which was our 9th because it was the first, but Clark looked at me and he goes, "What the hell was that?" He's like it was fairway green 2-putt par, fairway green 2-putt par, green 2-putt off, right? And I mean, I birdied a hole that I never normally birdie, and he's like, and then we got on the front, which was our back, the first tee, and it was like I just picked up a set of clubs from Walmart and went to the golf course.
Isn't that golf though?
Yeah. Did you feel like you added extra pressure knowing I'm 1 under right now? Did you start playing
the mental part of this game can just fuck with you, right?
Oh yeah.
It, like, Chris can tell you about my episodes coming up through, because I always think I should be better than what I am. But if I just stick to into the game that I know, I'm way better. And this year has been really good so far. But
well, the other night you got a little angry.
Yeah. Again, that was a Monday round. But, like, I got on that first tee box after shooting 1 under, and I was like, there is no pressure. Like, I'm in this. Like, and if you saw that first tee shot, you would have went, I've never put a ball there. Because there's a big hill on the right. There's the second tee box behind it. Well, man,
miss that way.
I don't miss that way. Well, I was out on the second tee box. So, and I was like, shit, here we go, right? And it was, dude, I never even came close to agreeing for the rest of that 9. But even playing 9 holes 1 under par, like, what a confidence booster. Like, dude, the game is in there. Like, just what is it they say?
You just got to get out of your own way. You just got to let it happen.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of like you got to, like, dance with flow state where you have, like, this mental clarity. It's like, I'm playing really well. I'm still going to go play with no expectations, but I'm still, like, my buddy Wheels and I joke about this. We're going to swing aggressively at conservative targets, at areas where we know we won't make a mistake. Like, we're going to miss in the correct spot.
Yep.
And we joke around about it because half the time we don't do that, but it's like we mean well when we cheers each other, and it's like, all right, aggressive swings at conservative targets. But then the sucker pin comes into play, and it's like, oh man, I can get after that one. Sure, I'm going to take that one on, and then it's like, oh, I just overshot the green by 15 yards, and now I'm short-sighted and I'm begging for bogeys,
Yeah.
Ball been there before.
All right, so we got into this a little bit of a chat. So let's give us a little bit about where Sucker Pin came from, pal, like the social media stuff. Let's just hear a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. So again, like you were saying earlier, before you push record, no idea. I'm not a techie. I don't know how half the apps work. I still learn something new about an iPhone every day. I was
Amen to that.
terrible at Facebook. I was never, what was the one before Facebook? I can't even remember.
Snapchat?
MySpace.
Snapchat?
MySpace.
Oh, there
I
it
was
is.
never into that. I had a Facebook for a little while, and it's like during COVID, our presidential election, all this stuff going on. My feed was just miserable, and I'm like, "Peace out, love you all. Hope to talk to my friends again. When you all aren't batshit crazy, you guys got my phone number." And then like COVID was like in full bloom, full spike, and all the golf courses remained open out here, and people had been telling Wheels and I, you guys got to do a golf blog because it's a blast to play golf with you. You guys are funny. I don't find myself funny. Wheels is hilarious. Like, that man is a dark horse when it comes to comedy. He's just an absolute beauty of a soul. You got to play golf with Wheels. His quick-witted sense of humor. It's like sometimes it's like I go play golf with him and I don't remember a single shot I hit. I'm so busy. Just sometimes I just find myself like watching him. Like I'm a very observant person. Like, I almost feel like I'm an owl in a tree, just like watching the world go by. And he's a riot. And so people were like, "You guys got time on your hands. Just see what happens." And so I was thinking of names and stuff, and I still don't even know like if we can share this account. And he's busy with 2 kids anyways. He's got 2 beautiful daughters, married, full-time career. He tries to help out when he can, but he's got a full plate. I'm like, let me handle it. I'll do whatever. I like messing around with photography, which Instagram has now gone away from. It's all about the videos, which I'm still learning about, and I don't have the time and patience to do like legit professional looking stuff because I'm not a pro. And so we just started recording our rounds during COVID, and I started the Instagram account. I had a personal account, but it's like maybe 3 people saw my stuff. Like, I didn't know how hashtags worked, none of this, and I had done no research. And I was thinking of names, and we had one at the beginning, and I'm like, dude, I didn't realize there's so many people that have like breakfast balls in there. So I was like, well, this ain't gonna work. And I've always been fast. I pride myself on playing aggressive golf. And I just started thinking, and I looked it up, and I'm like, nobody has anything that says sucker pin. And I'm like, I'm claiming this shit. And we want to make friends, and we want to reach the masses, or that we want to reach as many people as possible that are like-minded. Let's put it that way. And so I was like, let's include society in the name. And then I started like really thinking about sucker pins in real life. And I'm like, this kind of relates to everybody. Like, we all are scared to death to go after things in life. We always like, here's my dream or here's my goal. It's right in front of me, but I'm just scared to put one foot in front of the other and go get it. And so I want people to kind of understand what the sucker pin is. I haven't done a great job doing that because at all. Because we're me and my friends, we're all thinkers. We all have like different perspectives on things, but we're not these crazy people that you see, doing funny Instagram videos. We're serious people. We have goals. We want to see everybody succeed and chase their dreams. And that support system. But I was like, people go for sucker pins in life, and it backfires. Like, literally, you might go chase like this wonderful dream job, and that's like your sucker pin because it's going to pay you all the money in the world, but deep down inside, you're miserable. And people might, oh, I'm gonna try a diet. It's New Year's, new year, new me. And they see the candy bar at 7-Eleven or your Quick Stop or wherever. That's their sucker pin. And so I just wanted to play with that a little bit. And I've always liked black and white photography, so I wanted our logo to just be kind of basic because we never had plans of going into like merchandise. Like, it's still back burner, but we had a friend that was part of our group to begin with, and he was very, very negative. And I think that just the way the world was going, like he was a super upbeat, positive guy. And when we started it, like he was cool, and then you could just tell something was a little bit off. And he's like, I don't want to be in videos. I just don't want to be on social media right now, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'll never forget, like, the last thing he told me about the page was nobody's ever going to follow anything that says sucker on it. And this page, he also said, this page will go nowhere. Real nice guy. And I just want to like send him a screenshot of everything we've done and all the people we meet, all the connections we've made, all the awesome times we've had with everybody, and just be like, tell me again that this page is gonna go went nowhere. And so yeah, it just kind of like being out here in the Bay Area too. I was looking for like Bay Area golf pages to follow, and I wasn't seeing anything except for a couple like established photographers that were doing like some drone footage of golf courses. I mean, just north of us, we got San Francisco and all the prestigious private clubs and some beautiful old munis. And then just south of us is the Monterey Peninsula. So we've got Pebble, Spyglass, you name it, Spanish Bay, Cypress Point. But there was nothing I found like Bay Area golf pages except for a couple of them. And so I'm like, there's an area here to make some kind of impact. And so I started, connecting with people from the golf courses here. One guy that hit me up on Instagram, his name's Sean. He invited us to join his, we call it a beer league. It's nothing serious. We do knockoff PGA Tour events where we change the names around.
Nice.
And it's called the at the time it was the South Bay MGA, which stands for Mediocre Golf Association. Everybody's mediocre, and so actually some guys are getting real good. They've been practicing a lot. And now it's the San Jose Mediocre Golf Association. And I swear there's not a bad apple in the group. We have the best times. I think about our past tournaments literally every single day. Everybody is just an absolute gem to hang out with. And before you know it, it's like cool person after cool person. Oh, this guy knows so and so, and then it's like bam, it's like here we are. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind of like I didn't think this was possible because we're not in like the merchandise game. We're not here to try and get famous. I was called an influencer one time, and I wanted to tell the person to shut up. So I'm like, I'm not here to influence you. Buy this, buy that, any of that. We are here to put our genuine, authentic selves out here. What you see me do on the golf course is what you're going to see in my house, at my job. Like we are not phony. Like what you see is what you get, and it's just been an absolute blast. Is it the same for you guys?
I can relate because when we first started, we had to cut a guy loose as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just that when you're just trying, like this was my idea that I approached Chris with. I approached another one of our buddies with, and they were on board. And when we had the idea and of what we were going to do, and then we brought all of our pals together to go do this golf tour thing. There was one that was, he was a dark cloud in it, and a very and this was my baby that I was trying to build with my pals, and there was a couple instances of even in front where we were at our golf course where he would be in front of the people that own the golf course, and he would just absolutely trash what we were trying to do here. And again, we're just trying to get off the ground, and I kind of took that personally. Not that I take a lot of stuff personally. Like, I mean, a lot of stuff washes off my back. But if you get my goat, I will be the first guy to say, you know what, I think we're done here. And
right,
Chris knows where my crassness can come in, I guess. I don't let anything dwindle for too long before I put the X-nay to it. And,
Yep.
you know, even back then, when you have somebody like that in your core group, not core group, but in your group, you know, loosely associated group, being negative towards something that you're trying to build, you can either
Yeah.
feed off that or cut it loose, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I cut that loose, and because again, it was you know, again, same thing, having an effect of, you know, who the fuck is going to watch your shit? Who the hell is going to listen to your shit? And here we are going into our 4th year, and we got pals like you. We got Courtney Campbell coming on, Jordan from Odin Golf.
Yeah.
Oh, we have had some outstanding people give us a bit of their time, and I tell you, man, one thing that when I was doing the podcasts, and you know, especially having guests on, I don't want to waste anyone's bloody time. I really don't. I don't want to waste anyone's time. If you don't want to come on, that's fine. We'll move on down the road, right? Like there will be somebody that we can talk to, even if it's just me and Chris on here talk to, which we're going to have the next couple episodes are going to be that, because we're going to be prepping for our first amateur tour event, right? So we're going to want we're going to want to get that story out, right? But I mean, I still have a list of people over there that are want to jump on and have a chat with us. That wouldn't have happened if I would have bought into that type of negative attitude back in when we first started, right?
Yeah.
Here we are now. We just posted our 2K giveaway. I don't know when this one comes out. We'll be just drawn for our 36 a day golf co hats that
Yeah.
we're giving away because we hit 2K followers on here, and
Well, congratulations, boys.
that's
Thank you.
That's awesome.
and again, it's like I can't correlate it because I don't know what that means, but I do know that a lot of people do giveaways at 2K, so we're doing one as well. So that's just
But
kind of where that came from, and.
I mean, when Alvin and I when we first started this, it was, I mean, we both had the understanding that there was no expectations, like just similar to what you guys did, right? Like there's no expectations. It was, let's just do this. I mean, if something comes out of it, great. If it doesn't, hey, whatever. I mean, there's no harm in trying, right? Like we have that personality where we're like, whatever, we'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, okay, we'll move on to something else. But how are you going to know if something's going to be successful if you don't try? And we also understood that in the sphere of social media and different things like that, and in podcasts, like, I mean, I have I have a good buddy of mine who has never really been part of our group or anything. But I mean, when I told him we were starting a podcast, he's like, well, who's going to listen to your podcast? And I'm like, I don't know. So somebody will listen to it. Like, just because that's not something you want to do doesn't mean it's not something I'm going to do. It's me and my buddy, or my buddy sitting down, or, you know, so we've been lucky enough now to have guests for the last couple of years, which has been awesome. Sitting down and talking golf and sharing stories and experiences and stuff like that. And it's, if you don't take that step and put yourself out there, you'll never know what you're missing, right? And that's where your sucker pick comes from, right? Exactly.
Right.
And I mean, I can totally agree with that, because Alvin put himself out there. He's never really been an outgoing guy, but he does all of our he does all of our social media. Like I check in once in a while on the phone to see what's happening, but it's all Alvin all the time on there. And Alvin looks after, you know, the guests we get. He sets things up, because I'm busy during the winter time, and I mean, I try to be here when I can be, but I have another passion that I like to do in the winter when the golf courses are closed. And then when the golf season rolls around, we love getting out there and just playing as much golf as we can with each other and our buddies. And I mean, it really has become, you know, I'll be at work and I'll be like, oh yeah, hey, we got a golf round today. Like, excited, I'll see you in a few hours. You know, I haven't seen you since the last one or whatever. And you're just counting down the time to get out on the golf course and see how it goes. But everybody, you make a great point, because a lot of people have goals, and a lot of people have things that they want to achieve, or they have these dreams, and they don't want to put themselves out there and take that step, because people don't want to fail.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, right? So, I mean, I do a lot of coaching. Like, I coach volleyball, and my biggest thing to my girls is what's the worst thing that could happen if you do this? And they're like, well, we'll lose a point. I'm like, okay. So what are we gonna do if that happens? Well, we'll just try and be better the next time. Exactly. So no matter what happens, you're still gonna go home. You know, your wife's still gonna love you. Your kids are still gonna be there.
Right.
Your buddies are still gonna be your buddies. You got to get out there and you got to take that step. And I mean,
I think
it's crazy to see where we have gotten to right now. Like, it's insane for us.
So just before you jump in here, like our first season when we went into the winter months, and we said, and I was mentioning to Chris, I said, do you think we could get any guests on here? Because I think the first season we did 7 or podcasts or something throughout the summer,
Yeah, something like that.
and it was us just getting our feet wet. And then when our golf ended, it's like, well, what do we do now? Do we put it away for half of the year, or do we? So that first year when we got guests, I think we had like 4 throughout the entire winter, like 6-month period. We had 4 guests. And I was like, that was a success, right? So then the next year we had like 7, and I was like, holy shit, that's even a bigger success, right? And now this third year that when we started in November with guests, we're still going now. Like, we haven't stopped.
Yeah.
So this is where we see the growth in what we're doing is we're dropping a podcast every Monday. We've dropped a podcast every Monday now since we started in November. The only Monday we missed was Christmas Monday.
Yep.
And there's no reason for us to stop now, because even if we don't have a guest, like I said, me and Chris, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about our golf, right? And you talk about who would want to listen to you guys talk about your mediocre golf. Well, our friends that we're making here will, right? So Beard, you're on our podcast. When you post this on your social media, now some of your pals are going to go, well, fuck, Jordan, Odin Golf. You don't think those guys are going to listen to this pod? Of course they are. They're going to want to listen they're going to want to listen to you and us connecting for the first time.
That snowball rolling downhill, just collecting more snow. It's crazy that trickling effect, or spider webbing, whatever you want to call it.
Just what I was
going to say is, like, it honestly, like, if you love what you do, you love this. It doesn't matter at all what anybody else thinks.
No, and again, we had Courtney Campbell on the last episode. She's a PGA golf professional. Would I've ever thought we would have got a PGA of Canada golf professional on our podcast? Probably not a year ago, but now it's not. I don't say it's not such a big deal, but now we have her as a guest. Her followers, her students are going to want to listen to the podcast. So that's how we network there. We network with you. We network with Jordan. This is all part of. I look at it as a video game, right? You get experience points and levels, right? You know what I mean?
Looking like a true gamer.
I like the game, so
that's a great comparison.
Yeah, it's like
it's exactly like a video.
You get 2,000 followers. Well, that's 2,000 experience points. You're level 2, right? I mean, I don't know how to. Yeah. Maybe that correlates it a little bit, but that's how I look at it. I mean, I look at our YouTube page that's grown quite a bit over the winter since we started dropping a pod, right? And I just look at it as experience points, right? You have the views you get on each video is an experience point. The people that subscribe is a level. You're leveling up, and it's just bit by bit. And again, who would want to listen to you? Well, there are people. I mean, and to get into some of the metrics here again, because being in this and looking, I'm interested in the algorithms, in what goes on inside of this, because I have no idea how the fuck this works, right?
No clue.
So
clue.
I go into where we upload our podcasts, and you can find out where people are downloading your podcast, right? So you would think a tiny little podcast like ours, obviously Canada is going to be big on the download scale, and it is. US comes in at number 2. At double percentage downloads, do you know what country comes in at 3? Germany.
Oh, really?
Germany.
Wow.
Like,
I wouldn't have thought that.
Even before we talked to Jordan, Germany is our 3rd largest download country.
I was going to think either like England or Australia.
They're on. England's on. UK is on the list. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's
interesting.
But Germany is like double-digit percentage downloads for us.
Wow.
So when I look at that and I go, well, again, I'm just I'm a newfie from the rock. It's like, well, do we even speak the same language? Like, how the hell did they download our podcast and listen to it from Germany? But I get people over there speak English because Jordan is over there.
The great thing about podcasts too is there's a number of people that can't stop thinking about golf. and they don't have anybody to talk to. So why not tune into people and listen to what they have to say? And we've wanted to do like a podcast thing, but I honestly don't have the time. But it's always kind of like in the back of my head, like, let's, instead of doing golf court, like us funny clips or whatever, like, let's just sit down and have a conversation for 30 minutes about golf related stuff, maybe mix in our own personal lives. Somebody will relate to it. And you don't know who that person is, but
let me give you let me throw out the podcaster's advice here, because we're so big and we've been doing it so long. It doesn't matter when you start if you're a regular.
Mm-hmm.
You drop a podcast once, you drop 2 podcasts in a year. It doesn't matter. Your 2 podcasts are out there. So that when you start, that was my biggest thing. It was like I didn't want to have a day we were downloading when we started. Like when we had the time, let's sit down and talk about what we've done.
Yeah, we didn't want to go with a full blown.
We didn't want to go with a full blown, right? So that doesn't get you, the return viewer, blah blah blah. Again, attention span, retention and all that. But it didn't matter, because again, our goals were different. Our goals aren't to make a fortune off this and retire off this. Our goal in this is to chat with people like you. Right?
Yeah.
So us getting connected here like this is way more important to me than what's happening with the algorithms and the downloads and the views and all that type of stuff. Like we made a connection here. We chatted through social media, and now we're doing the screen chat, just like we did with Jordan, right? It's like now we're chatting. Now you can hear our voice. We're chatting. This is way more important to me than any of that other type of stuff, right?
Well, this is the wonderful thing about these two, is because a lot of my relationship with 99% of people is just through text, and there's no face-to-face conversing, having a discussion. And like, I've been wanting that, because it's like, there's only so much I can do in a DM, and it's like these personalities and these people that we meet, it's like we're 2 peas in a pod. I would love to, like, let's go grab a beer, a pizza, whatever, shoot the shit, because we have a lot more in common than you think. And for me and my friends, it's not just about the golf, but it's like we want to like actually like know the individual. And it's crazy, because just in the last 3 or 4 years, like some of these guys I didn't know whatsoever that have become like legit lifelong friends. And like one guy, Alan, he's like, hey, he's an absolute beauty too. I can't wait to see him next week. But like our friendship took off to where it's like, hey man, I got a seat for you at my wedding. We're having a baby.
Awesome.
Here's the invite to the baby's birth. I'm like, I would never have thought this was even possible like 4 years ago. And so it's just wild, because I try to always respond to people, especially if I know they're a real person, when I get notifications.
Same.
Always like, if they're going to take the time out of their day to say something to me, I'm going to try to respond back to them. I see so many pages where, these people are just so popular, and who knows where these followers and this, the engagement really comes from, whether they're bots or whatever. But I'm like, you aren't responding to anybody. Like, these people have been supporting you for so long. They take time out of their day to comment, like your stuff, share it. Even with some of these big brands, they started out small, and then they get to a point where it's like, they just don't. Where's the love for the little guy?
Yeah. We found that through our last little, I guess, growth spurt we've had here, we've actually had the opportunity to chat with some of the direct to consumer brands, and they've been pretty generous with their, again, responding and stuff. And again, if they're willing to respond to what you're saying, man, for me, that's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Paul from Lombardi Golf.
You know what? I think we just started following each other. I just recently found him.
We've been following the putter guy. Paul's a gem, and we started following Paul when he had 1,500 followers, and then within a matter of a month he's at like 13K, right? And he always always responds to me. And I actually had a phone call with him when he was at the PGA show in Florida. He was going back to his hotel, and he actually gave me his number, and I called him as he was going back to his hotel room. And we were chatting. The dude, that will never be forgotten. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, with some of the other guys like Lazarus Golf Clubs, Boomtech Golf Clubs, some of the direct-to-consumer wedge guys, they always chat, like always give us a message back and say, hey, thanks for reaching out, you know, and, you know, we'll be paying attention. And you're building that initial connection for maybe down the road and some of these guys jumping on the pod and stuff. Again, it's wild to think that, you know, down the road we could be there as well, right? And where that could go. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Again, social media, wild animal that, you know, as long as you could filter out the shit, because there's a lot of it on there. I'm pretty good now at knowing that if somebody follows us, whether they're a fake account or a real person.
We've had enough practice.
We've had enough practice.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who's not shit, and that's our buddy Jordan. And
that guy, dude,
I swear.
Before you get going, so that guy, when we first started messaging on Instagram, he was the first guy to send all of his replies to my questions in audio form. He would send me
every day
a voice audio for a response to every one of my questions. I was like, dude, this is stellar. Like,
yeah.
I'm blown away. He's like, yeah, man, this is what I do. Like, he goes, I hate texting. He says, so I just hit record, do a little message,
He's
send it off to you.
Absolute
right? Like,
beauty.
He's a beaut.
And I was just scrolling one day, and I think it was like right at the beginning of Odin, and there was a cool picture of him playing Half Moon Bay. If you get the chance to play there, absolute stunner. I was like, huh, that's a cool. Well, that first of all, that's a great photo. Click like, hit like, whatever, and it never really stuck with me like he's local. I just thought it was some guy traveling, and then I think some of his photo shoots that he's done with the merchandise and stuff was in Berlin, where he lives, and I think he liked a couple of mine, and he noticed right away we're from the Bay Area, and so he started adding some comments, and I was like, whoa, this guy knows where we're at. And we started chatting, and he's like, I'm from Sunnyvale, and I live 5 minutes from Sunnyvale. I'm like, really? He's like, oh. I was like, really? It's like, oh, dude, like immediately, like we hit it off, and we've been like great friends for, it feels like an eternity, but it's only been like 2.5 years. And I swear that this guy does so much for the community, and I don't think people really have an idea how difficult that must be, being 9 hours ahead of the, you know,
setting up the podcast.
Yeah. He's got to do some stuff like at some really weird hours and coordinate all this stuff. And the brand is exactly what I'm here to support. The cool thing too is like we've become such good friends. It's like I feel good like if I buy something, like it's like I'm buying Jordan's golf balls, or I'm buying Jordan's hats. Like the first name, like I'm friends with him. Why would I not want this guy to succeed? And his whole team, because he's got other ones that help out. And he's just an extremely just a great all-around soul. Like he just exudes positivity. He checks in on my family members if somebody's sick or something, and he throws these events. And are you guys going to Minnesota?
No, pal, we're not going to Minnesota.
Okay.
So I was gonna lead into this. You need to tell us about this event that's happening with with our pals Jordan from Odin, yourself, and our good friend Derek and Dom from over at Save Par Pod.
Yeah.
Because we've had a pass with those two guys as well, because we've been on their podcast and they've been on ours, and we check in with each other every now and then as well. So give us a little rundown of that event.
Oh my God. So I'm in a group chat with Save Par Golf Podcast, Jordan. Let's see who else is in the Back Blast Golf, Tacos at the Turn, Los Golferos, Mr. Misfit, Nueve Golf, Brian O'Reilly. I think I'm getting all of them. Duffing Up. It's a big chat, and they had come up. Derek, Dom, Jordan, I think had their own little chat going, and they brought on this idea of like, hey, what if we threw like a save par event out in the Bay Area, and Odin's going to help sponsor it, put the whole thing together. And they came up with the Shindig name, and I immediately loved it because it's such like an old school name. I'm like, dude, this you're onto something here. And he's like, it's not just about the actual tournament or the event. It's like a 4-person scramble. You bring your own team, but we make like a week out of it where for 4 or 5 days, and they do the event on like a Saturday, but maybe people fly in on a Thursday, get to meet people finally, go out to dinner, have some drinks, and maybe play a little golf the Friday before, go check out the town that it's being hosted in, which last year was the Bay Area, the first one. And so some of the guys that hadn't been to San Francisco before, Jordan took them on a day trip to explore. Some guys went to Alcatraz. That was Derek and Dom. And then we went to a San Francisco Giants game on Sunday. But I swear, when we all got in the same room together, having like just meeting for the very first time in person, it was like literally like hugging lost long brothers and sisters. Like the connection was like immediate. And it was really incredible, like that we got that kind of like that interaction with people just because we decided to literally hit a golf ball one day. Like the game of golf brought us here. And if we didn't grab a club and hit a golf ball that one day, that very first day, good chance this never would have even happened. So it's just weird to think about like where the game will lead you. And I'm sure they've got other cool stuff events planned. Actually, I know they have one coming up in our neck of the woods. Jordan's flying out like a week early. And we've got a local gal, Patricia Callahan, who does a lot of events. She goes by Ice Golf Bay Area. And so they're collabing on an event called Bay Day, where we're trying to get the whole Bay Area community out here to have like a similar 4-person scramble. We've done a couple of them in the past, but they were kind of called Odin Days. And then to kind of, I think, attract more of the Bay Area crowd, they put Bay in front of it. And so there's Odin goodies. They're looking for sponsors, and it's an amazing crowd. The amount of cool people that are out here, it's unbelievable. And so we've got that. And then the following week is the Shindig in Minneapolis. And this one should be literally wild because me and my girlfriend, we're flying out Thursday, land in Minneapolis like right around noon. Think we're going to go out to dinner, get drinks and stuff Thursday night. And then Friday, we might be playing golf somewhere. Plus, there's going to be like I think they've reserved like a brewery for people to mingle, get to know each other. And then the Shindig itself will be on Saturday. And then Sunday, a few of us are going to go to the Minnesota Twins baseball game.
Nice.
And explore the city. We're not going to sleep. Let's put it that way. I hardly slept last time.
You don't sleep on trips like that.
It was in my hometown. But I swear, dude, like we had people fly from the East Coast. They came out. I think some people from SoCal, and now in Minnesota, I think we got East Coast, Arizona, California. Forget where else. It should be a trip, and it's a lot of new faces too that are sponsoring it. So it'll be cool to meet a new group of people where it's like all we do is talk through text, you know. So I'm thinking like if they did this thing like annually, which so far they are, and we hit up a new town, explore it all, they could really be onto something because I've played in some events where it's like, oh my God, why did I waste money on this? It's like I'm ready to set aside money every year for it because even if it's only like a 4 or 5 day trip, it feels like it's more than that because there's so much packed into it. So we're gonna be bummed to miss you guys, but maybe we cross the border and do one up in Canada. I think that would be super cool.
That
Or close, anyways.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we got a lot of friends in Ontario, so maybe we could do it out there. But I was gonna say to you, me and Jordan were talking. I don't know if we were talking about it during the podcast or before or after, but one of our bucket list courses that we want to play is St. Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
and Jordan was like, I was like, how can you be in Germany and not take a weekend to go and play St. Andrews? Like you just jump on a plane, I mean, literally, it's what a couple hour flight from Germany to Scotland.
I hope it's because he's waiting for me to join him.
So
Number one.
he said maybe we need to do one of these events there. So
that'd be pretty wild.
when you see him at the shindig, say, hey, what's up with the St. Andrews trip? Well, what are you looking at there? Because I really want to go. I'll never play Augusta. I get that, but again, I'm kind of an armchair historian and I love that stuff. So when I got into golf, I went and I jumped in both feet into the history of the game, and yeah, St. Andrews, you can go play it, and it's the home of golf. Well, that's definitely on the bucket list to go and give that a whirl. I don't know when. It might be a year or two down the road for me personally to be able to get over there, but it's etched in there. I will, before I pass, I will
Yep.
play St. Andrews, and I'll be bringing some of my buddies with me for sure.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because my coworker, who's a golf nut too, him and his buddies started saving years ago for this bucket list trip, and they hit up they played 8 courses in 7 days.
Nice.
I don't even want to bring up how much it was.
That's a dream for me.
Yeah, they saved up for a few years, and I was like, "Are you gonna hold your daughters back from going to college so you can like?" But they stayed in the St. Andrews Hotel right on the 18th green, so their room views are watching everybody tee off on one,
That would be
and so it's funny because I forgot to give him cash. So I was like, "Oh, just give me a souvenir." And I'm waiting like all hours of the night for the photos because they're like 8 or 9 hours ahead. And so I'd stay up to like 2 o'clock in the morning because I was like, I got to see the photos. And so he hit me up one morning and he's like, "Chris, you got to do me a favor." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "It's my wife and I's anniversary. I need you to go buy her flowers and drop them off on our porch." And in exchange, he sent me a picture. He's like, "I got you a St. Andrews hoodie, St. Andrews golf link with the logo from the pro shop. And I got you a leather wallet with St. Andrews stamped on it. All you got to do is get those flowers on that porch before she wakes up and take a picture, send it to me so I know they're there." I was like, "Okay, cool." And when he came back, he's a pretty serious guy, like not real emotional. He's a beauty too. I love him because he's like, I know exactly what he's thinking at work all day long, and like his brain is on golf. And he came back, and I was like, "So how was it?" And like you can almost tell he was getting choked up, which then got me choked up because he handed me the hoodie and the wallet, and he's like, "Chris, oh my God, I'm gonna start crying. Oh Jesus. I can't tell this story. But he's like, "Chris, you just gotta go. Like, it'll change your life." And that's it. That's all he said. And oh my God, I'm getting choked up. Nice
Dude.
to meet you guys. I'm gonna be a mess over here.
No,
This is
listen. So I know that if I go to play that course, because I am again like I'm a war history buff, and I deal all that stuff. I like to, and I'm emotionally involved in it. I know in my heart of hearts that when we go to St. Andrews and I step onto that first tee box, I am going to have a breakfast ball because I will not be in the right frame of mind to tee off. I will
Yeah.
look at that golf course and I will look at the history, and it will hit me that I am at the home of golf. And dude, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I'm not even there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I will need a breakfast ball because my first tee shot isn't going anywhere. I don't even know if I'll make contact with it. My eyes will be full of water. Dude, I already get it. I get it. You don't even have to fucking be apologetic about this. I'm not there. I'm thinking about it, and I'm already emotional about this.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up like the nerves and stuff. I was like, I gotta know, like, obviously 1 and 18, gigantic fairway because they share the fairway. And so what was it like? And he's like, well, I broke my first tee putting it in the ground because my hands were shaking. So, and plus the ground is like concrete. And I was like, so you hit iron like everybody else? He's like, fuck no, I hit driver because I didn't want to miss the ball. I needed the biggest club head possible. And what's cool though is I think they saved St. Andrews for last. So not only are you staying there, but you got to sit there and look at it for 6 days, 6 or 7 days.
Oof.
But they played Troon, Royal Troon, which is hosting the Open this year. They played Kingsbarns, St. Andrews,
an expensive trip.
Carnoustie. Mind you, oh, dude, they also had, I think, a private driver that drove them to every course in like a blacked out SUV.
In style, I like
all
it.
All their meals were included. They also got like a whiskey distillery tour and tasting, just to the nines. Just a wild trip. And what's crazy too is like he hates walking, but he's like, I had no problem walking out there because I was like walking on clouds. I couldn't believe I was here. And I was expecting like, dude, this guy's gonna come back in a wheelchair. And he brought all this rain gear. He's like, dude, I don't even know how many golf balls to bring. I don't want to make my bag too heavy, but I don't. And he bought like 4 dozen Pro V1 boxes. Only lost like 6 balls the whole time.
Nice.
And I was like, so you get the crazy Scottish weather? And he's like, dude, I wore shorts the entire week. I was like, oh, dude, you totally lucked out.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, man. So yeah, bring that up with Jordan about the St. Andrews trip here when you see him.
Shindig at the home of golf. I might not come back. Like,
dude, I don't even.
You might as well just kill me right there. They got the goddamn cemetery off where old Tom Morris and young Tom Morris are buried, right next to the course. I'll just call that a career.